Everybody, it's Doom here from Dungeons and Doom Biscuit, and I've got one of the DungeonSwag goblins, and I wanted to paint him up because he is sick. So one of the easiest things you can do to paint a goblin quickly is to pick one base color and kind of brush him down. I'm going to use this color that is notoriously called Goblin Green. And I think I've only ever used this on not goblins, but I think I used it on like a ranger cloak. Let's try it out though. I actually like my goblins to be colors of oranges and browns and yellows too. But this guy just gives off that green goblin kind of vibe. Don't need much paint. He's a very small fella. And I'm just going to use a regular Army Painter starter brush to get his green on. And I'm not worried about his little accessories. I'm just going to paint those green too. I'm going to come back when we're all done and I'm going to do a wash on him. And I think that's going to darken him up and kind of get the detail I really want on his flesh. So I'm just doing a real thin coat here. And I'm just spreading it around to make sure that it's everywhere I want it to be. So having the right tools for the job is one of the best things about when you're painting. Having the way to do it as quick as possible and save yourself tons of time is often, for me, preferable. But you will be satisfied in some ways, not others. For example, yeah, I can pop a mini out in 25 minutes. Yes, I do it all the time. Am I always happy with the quality of that mini's paint job? Not always, no. Sometimes I am, sometimes. But not often. Am I like, bang, nailed it, you know? And that's just the side effect of doing it quickly to get it done versus, putting in the time to get it right. And I'm just hitting all the spots where I think there's flesh showing. I think I pretty much nailed those pretty decently anyways, maybe not perfectly. So he's got this nice pale tint to him. Come back here and get in there a little bit. Okay. Going back over the feet to make sure I got all the green spots green. And I'm going to get that hand a little better. Okay. Now I'm going to get a brown and do his gear. And I'm going to do it a little lighter than I wanted to end up because like I said, we're going to put a wash over this ultimately. We don't need a whole lot there, I don't think. That should be enough. That was monster brown if we have to come back. So we're going to hit all his gear with that. And we're going to make sure we don't get it on any of the skin. This is a little bit too thick, so I'm just going to get a little bit of water on my brush and use my cardboard to spread it out. Now, this looks like it's supposed to be chainmail or something, and that's okay. We can fix that right up. We'll just paint it brown now so it's not white. And it'll be okay. Make sure you're getting those little cracks where those little side pieces of armor are hanging. And we're going to bring that up to that belt line. Okay. Get underneath there a little bit. Okay. Now we're going to do his wristbands. I'm just getting this a little bit wetter to make sure I get it in all those little cracks and grooves and crannies. Granny's a very technical term. And it does rhyme with granny. So that's good too. Now this guy's little, so this will be a pretty good paint job, pretty quick, I'm guessing. I think he's going to look nice when he's done too. And let's make sure we get that little elbow thing there. Brown that up too. Now, for the rest of that, we're going to have to use a smaller brush or we're going to find ourselves in a bad spot. So I'm going to spread this around to make sure I got it in all the little cracks real quick. And then I'm going to come in and do a little bit of work on his feet. I'm just hitting the main areas of those wraps. I'm not going all the way to the edges. I'm just getting the majority of that paint job covered up. Okay. Now I'm going to do the handle of his weapon. I'm going to get my brush wet again. And let's get real good coat on that so it's a little darker. Get the little bottom of the handle there real carefully not to get it on the skin. And there's a little bit exposed up here. I'm just going to drag it along the fat part there and get it in that crack and not get it on the hand if I can avoid it. Okay. I got some on his head. I'm just going to get a damp brush and try to clean that off and leave the green behind just like that. Now for the rest of his little accessories, we're going to do this with a little bit of a darker brown. And we're going to use a very small brush, like a fractional brush. Whoop. So I'm just going to get a tiny bit here and do that extra little bit of work. So he's got this bandolier thing here. Just like that. I'm just going to take my time. Go all the way around there with that. See there? Then I'm going to do, he's got some like leather tongs or bandages or something around his arm, around his bicep. I'm going to use that tiny brush and hit that. Okay. I'm going to do the same thing on this arm. It's got just the thinnest little leather strap. And I'm seeing from underneath here a little bit of this that I missed. I'm just going to grab that and clean it up. Okay. Then I'm going to do his pauldron with it as well. And I'm using this tiny brush. I'm going to get a little bit of water, which is really tricky with these little brushes. Need a little bit of water. There we go. I'm going to get that pauldron painted up with that darker brown, and this will lighten it up a little bit. Give it a slightly lighter tone. Okay. Once you have that pretty good, get your water, a little bit more of that dark brown, And I'm just going to drag it around on this loincloth, making it a little bit darker around the edges. I'm not putting a whole lot of effort into that. Then I'm going to come on these little armor pieces on the side. I'm not doing it everywhere. I'm just going to drag a little bit of that darker down around there to give it some variation. Then I'm going to clean that brush off. And then I'm going to get a metallic, a darker metallic. This is called gunmetal. I think this one's pretty shaken up actually. Let me get a little drop of that. Oh, that's more than I wanted. I'm going to get the starter brush I was using, that size 1. I'm going to get that. And I'm going to grab all this chainmail down here. And I'm going to just spot it around. I'm not painting it so much as I'm just dabbing it around to give it a metallic sheen. Okay? Just like that. It's not perfect. Then I'm going to get that same stuff. And I'm going to get a lot of it wiped off. I'm just going to drag it along the top of those metal hanging plates. So some of the brown is still showing through. Just real light like that. And then this bird head or whatever this is here that's ultimately going to be tan, I'm just hitting it with that. Also, I'm going to get this metallic and I'm going to do the head of this hammer he's got. And I'm not covering it perfectly. I'm just kind of ishing it. Okay. Now, we'll get one more color, a lighter color, like a light beige. I'm going to use skeleton bone for this. I just need a tiny dab of skeleton bone. There we go. I'm going to get that fractional brush, that tiny brush, and I'm going to get a decent coat on there, and I'm going to drag it along that necklace, just like that, and his little teeth, and that spike, the spikes on his armor, on his shoulder. Just like that. I'm going to take my time and coat that stuff. Now, there are some other little things we want to do with this. We want to make sure we do his foot wraps. And I'm just going to do the outside edge of them with this and leave the inside that brown. Just like that. Okay. Okay, something like that. Just going to hit those teeth one more time. Make sure they're visible. And then I'm going to dab his little tongue with red real quick. I'll come back and do the eyes last. Oh. His little tongue and red and just the edge of his mouth. Okay. I'm going to get a bigger brush and a dark brown. I'm going to do his base. Just like that. I'm just being real careful. And if I miss a couple little spots, it'll be okay. Let's take a look at him. He looks okay. I mean, hell, you could throw him on the tabletop like that if you really wanted to. Okay. Let's get a wash. And kind of a chunkier brush. Something that we can tear up and not love. Well, I love all my brushes, if we're going to be honest. We're going to soak that brush, get it all over him, and all the cracks and crevices front and back. Okay. It's going to create some nice effects, and it's going to give him some cool variation and detail. Okay, now get your first brush that you did the base with, the bigger one, and just grab any of the excess you can and smear that around on the base. We're going to use that as a cheap substitution for variation on our base. We're also going to use that brush to grab any excess, and we're going to rub that around on the base to get rid of it. See, there's a little bit on top of his head there we didn't want, a little bit in that corner, a little bit in that corner, a little bit back there. Right here under his neck, there's just way too much. We're going to get cardboard because the base is getting paint logged. I'm going to drag that out of there. Under that arm, there's too much. We just want to make sure we don't have anywhere that's super saturated that's going to look overly shaded. That's what we're doing. We're getting ready kind of over shading. Okay. And you can use a piece of toilet paper or really anything to do this. You don't need to have this brush, to have a brush for this. I'm just going to grab that, and then on the back of his armor there. Okay. Now he's already got a completely different look. He's far more detailed than he was a moment ago. So that wash I used is called Military Shader. It's just something that Army Painter sells. I think it's about $4 or $5. I bought mine at a local store, so it cost a couple bucks more, but I've seen it online for less. I like to shop at my local places when I can. There's a little spot back here where I think there's just too much dark still. I'm going to reach in there and grab that. When you hit it with the air gun or whatever, if you're letting it naturally dry, come down and check on it in an hour or so. You'll see that it kind of naturally settles in some spots a little more than others. And that's okay. You just get in there and clean that up. Just dab it out before it gets hard. Okay. Let's hit him with the air gun. Pretty good. He looks all right. I don't think we really need to do the eyes, but we'll do them because that's just what we do. For the eyes, I'm getting an off-white. I actually have the white that I painted his base with, or painted the dry brush the miniature with. I have that open right here, so I'm just going to grab a little bit of that. I'm going to come in. I'm going to do a little dot. I like to use off-white for this, but I'm going to use white, and I'm just going to drag it in that crack. And then this one over here is really shaded and in the corner. I'm just going to dot in there. I'm not going to drag a line. I'm going to get the red, take almost all that off the brush, dab his eyeball. Okay. Now, I'm going to get my size 1 or my starter brush. I'm going to get that white, a little bit of that white, and a little bit of that tan, that beige, and I'm going to mix those together. And I'm going to take a lot of that off my brush right here. I'm going to drag it on that bird skull or whatever that is on his belt. On this loincloth there. I'm just going to lighten that up a little bit. And then I'm going to hit these little corner spike things on his elbows. Just lightly. And then I'm going to hit these spikes up back here. I'm going to watch now and get it on his head. Just going to lighten those up a tiny bit. Just like that. I'm pretty happy. There's one more step. Let's get a toothpick. just like that. I'm going to put a little bit of flock on the base to kind of tie it in a little nicer and make it look a little greener and fun. I don't want to use a whole lot, so I'm just going to grab 2 little spots where I think it would look nice and make some patches. Now, I can't clear coat them for you, but you would clear coat them now, and you would get a nice looking little mini. When he's dry and clear coated, he won't be so shiny. Like that shader really does leave a little bit of a gloss there that I don't want. But I use the matte clear Rust-Oleum, and it's like I do a pretty thick coat, and it takes that shine out, and it looks really good. So thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell icon, leave a comment, and all the stuff that makes the algorithm God pleased. And do me one more favor, a really big favor. Go to the website, www.dungeon-swag.com. I will try to make sure I get the link in the description. I keep forgetting. And also, there's a discount code that can save you on your first month's subscription to our service. Make sure you check that out, too, for me. And this is one of the DungeonSwag goblins. So this is one of the products from the website. This came in a monthly box. I'm sure if you asked a Scorbic if there's a way to get a hold of goblins, he has the plate of these and would be willing to sell those. So thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.